care what you say about Dune Awakening. Dune Awakening is Conan Exiles just with a fresh coat of paint on it. It's the same exact game. It has terrible melee combat, like that terrible melee combat in Conan Exiles, and it has some guns which Conan Exiles didn't have. Conan Exiles had like bows and magic, but neither game was particularly good. But they did do pioneering things like storms, climbing the walls before Zelda did it. You know that stamina system where you climb the wall, and if the stamina runs out, you fall and you die. Genshin Impact used it. That climbing system was first adequately, I would say adequately, but not well done, but adequately done by Funcom with with Conan Exiles. So we like Funcom because they take chances with grappling hooks and stuff in MMOs, and climbing walls and stuff that other games weren't doing. That they were taking experiments and experimenting with and taking risks. And while the games were failures, all of them abject failures, except for Anarchy Online, which had like kind of a precursor EverQuest following, but they weren't good like EverQuest. They weren't. Funcom's never been a good developer. They don't know how to make good games, and it's because I know this because I played Anarchy Online the year it came out for a long time, a couple days, and that was not a good game. It just wasn't a good game. Not like EverQuest, not like WoW, not like Final Fantasy 11, not like Guild Wars 1. It just wasn't, a good retro game. It just wasn't. It didn't sit. So then they took all that money that they got with Anarchy Online. They made Conan Exiles. Conan Exiles was on the PlayStation 4, which saved it because it was a cross-console MMO survival sandbox, and that's really rare. We only have Rust on the console and Minecraft on the console and like Terraria on the console and Conan Exiles. So you would think that Conan Exiles would just get that default money because we don't really have giant ass sandboxes on the console like Conan Exiles because the console can't generally do them. Grand Theft Auto was on the console, but that was kind of an outlier. It's not usually that common to have console sandboxes that are genuinely good. And Exiles was a genuinely good PlayStation 4 sandbox, and it did have a following of about 100,000 boys there for about a year. And then it died out down to 30K like these crappy niche, PvP free-for-all games tend to do. And it was crappy free-for-all PvP game exactly like Rust, exactly like Ark. It is Ark. I mean, I don't really see the difference between Conan Exiles and Ark. I don't really see the difference. It's about the same game, really. You don't have a lot of dinosaurs in Exiles, but I think you can tame with stuff, and it's a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I don't really see the fucking difference. I didn't deliver! Oh, no, I guess I was supposed to do something. Oh, I'm supposed to... I don't know. Just start over. What happened here? What are we doing? It's like, what mission am I doing? I don't think I started a mission. What are we doing? Take me out of here. So anyways, but we kept an eye on them because they were willing to take risks with stuff that we were interested in. Like even my best friend was interested in the titties. Everybody thought the titties were cool. They were the first company to do titties, I think. They were like the first, or if it had been done, it was all sex games on Steam and stuff. I'm talking about like a mainstream game like Mortal with titties in it. There was only 3 games like that. Mortal 1. There was like a old game on the 3DO that had titties in it, and then there was like Conan, fucking Age of Conan, where you could like have a character with big old jiggly titties just flopping around for hours and hours and hours. And I must admit, that game came out when I was like 17 or something like that, and it was impossible to play it because if you rolled a female character, which is why I roll female characters, all of my fucking life was because of Age of Conan. My character in Age of Conan had the greatest rack I've ever seen a fucking video game character have, and you could watch her piss and stuff like that. It was the weirdest fucking game. And honestly, I swear to God, that did not help me with my piss fetish thing because it's like I could watch my own girl. I like watching girls pee. I feel shame admitting it, but this is because Penthouse used to do centerfolds of girls taking pisses in the middle of the centerfold. You could literally fold out 3-page things. The centerfold piece would be the Penthouse Playmate of the year or whatever, and like she would be pissing this huge stream like 4 feet, and it was beautiful, it was sexy, it was weird, it was fucked up. It was fetish, and it fucking twisted me when I was like 17 or something like that. And Age of Conan didn't help either, because you could just, watch you could just stand your character there for half an hour, press the WS key, and watch your fucking titties jiggle. And they did good fucking jiggle physics in like 2004 or something like that. It was like 2004. It was like 2004 or something when Age of Conan came out. It was really early. And yeah, it was a distracting game if you rolled a female character. I was 17. I was constantly masturbating and fucking my girlfriend. I would like play Age of Conan, and then I'd be like, let's go in the bedroom, Because it's like you're just watching this huge pair of titties just flopping around all the time while you're looking for more dudes to chop off their heads and arms and shit, because it was a really violent game too. And I was like, I like adult games, and Age of Conan was the first one to do that. So we always think of Funcom fondly, because they were like the first real company to give us titties besides Mortal. And Mortal didn't really give us titties, not really, but Funcom did. Funcom gave us big old 3D titties that were fucking beautiful. We were all 17 years old and fresh from World of Warcraft, and it blew our minds. We were like, look at all of our beautiful titties, and nobody was a male character. Nobody. And I've never been able to roll male characters since, and I never did anyways, because I was like, I like looking at female butts all day. I like staring at man ass all day. I used to say that when I was like 15 years old, and I meant it too, because I come from Phantasy Star Online, where the girls were actually really cute. So it's like, I don't roll male characters because I want to fuck my characters. You understand? Do you want to date my avatar kind of thing? So yeah, so we like Funcom because they experiment with titties, they experiment with climbing walls like Zelda, they experiment with, grappling hooks and shit like that most MMO developers are just too fucking pussy to do. They're just too pussy to do it. I'm honestly, they're too pussy to do it. They're too scared to scare the kids away, or they're too scared to take a chance, or whatever it is. And so we respect Funcom. But out of the same breath, I will say they cannot design a video game. They've never been able to do it. All 5 of their games were colossal tanks that got money somehow, despite how bad they were. And Dune Awakening is no different. That's why I'm weighing in on this. I'm weighing in on Dune Awakening because look, this game launched in June. It's goddamn December, and he's doing Death of a Game, and their population is at like 300 or something like that. And it is pertinent to what's happening with P. Diddy and with fucking Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump and all this. The industries are dying. The games are dying. Something's happening. I think Satan's like bringing the world to some rapture or something's fucking crazy, or whatever you believe in. Goddess Kali is smiling at us or something. I don't know what it is, but something's happening, like Dune Awakening, like I don't know what it is, but Dune Awakening should not have died. It did get the Rust interest, like 30,000 players showed up. I mean, I don't know, 300 or no, it was like 400,000 players bought the game or something at $60 a pop when it was brand new. So they did make a lot of money off Dune Awakening, but they can't design a game, so they can't do good combat, so what does it matter? And then 5 months after they launch an MMO, we're here at Death of a Game. And I can do a better history of fucking Dune because I was actually there for all of it. I was there for every last one of them. I played Dune Awakening for 8 hours when they finally did a free trial because I was like, I know they cannot design a video game. I know they can't. I've bought everything they've ever done. I've been ashamed of everything I ever bought. I bought fucking Anarchy Online. I bought fucking Age of Conan on PlayStation 4. On PC. I bought fucking Conan Exiles on PlayStation 4 for $20 when it was on sale. And I just did not buy Dune Awakening because the last 4 were colossal tanks that absolutely proved that the company just cannot design an MMO. And that's what I said to the Quinfall guy in like 3 paragraphs and stuff. And he was like, this is the best information I've had in a long time. I said all that in like 3 paragraphs. I was like, nope, I bought Age of Conan. It was good. It had titties. They took risks. It died in 3 weeks. No, I bought Age of Conan. I bought Conan Exiles on the PlayStation 4. It was a good cross-console game. It died in 3 weeks. I'm not gonna buy Dune Awakening. I know it's gonna die in 3 weeks. It absolutely did die in 3 weeks, and they wouldn't they wouldn't stop doing the ornithopter stuff, and they wouldn't make the combat good, and they weren't embracing a truly free grappling hook. None of them will. They won't embrace a truly free grappling hook in any of these fucking games for some reason. And we've had it before on the PlayStation 2 with James Bond, Agent Under Fire, or like Tribes Ascended. We've had good jetpacks and good grappling hooks since way back in like 2001. But something about these modern fucking pussy ass developers, they're scared to take chances. They put limits on the jetpacks that are just frankly goddamn embarrassing. And the grappling hooks are pieces of shit compared to PlayStation 2 games I used to play 25 years ago. 25 years ago. I mean this too, 25 years ago when I was like 15 years old, 25 years ago, we had better grappling hooks and jetpacks than we do now. But that was in the Pentium 1 era. I'm not kidding. Pentium 1. We're on Pentium 4, you understand? Or they don't even count them in numbers anymore. But it used to be Pentium series, Pentium 1, Pentium 2. If you were a good gamer, you finally got to Pentium 3, you could actually play like World of Warcraft or something like that. And by Pentium 4, we had the modern PC gaming that we've got now. But I mean, like, remember, we were playing fucking, Anarchy Online on a Pentium 1, and that shit sucked, and the game was not good. Nope.
Survival games.
I did that way back in, I don't know, 98 on a crappy, like, fucking Windows 95 PC. It was like a Dell, like, crappy Dell when I was like 15. And yeah, I bought Anarchy Online, and it sucked. And it died in 3 weeks. Anarchy Online went on for like 10 years. It was a successful MMO. But the big flood that came that was leaving Ultima Online to try to find some new game, they thought it might be Anarchy Online, and it did get a big 100,000 player fucking thing in like 96 or something like that. It was a really big game. It has stayed big for about 5 years. But then competent games that aren't Funcom, that aren't made by Funcom, came along, like SOE with EverQuest, or that's Sony Online Entertainment, or Blizzard with World of Warcraft, or Square Enix with Final Fantasy 11, or ArenaNet with Guild Wars 1, right? It's the competent MMOs all hit within that 3-year period where they thought that Anarchy Online was gonna sunset, and they were gonna do something new. But then World of Warcraft hit, and then they just disappeared for 10 years while they cooked like Age of Conan, excuse me. It was like 5 years, and then they released Age of Conan, and they tried to fight WoW. They tried to be a WoW killer in a real and verifiable form, because they had like titties and stuff, and we were all 17. So they did have the fucking chemistry to actually maybe turn our heads away from WoW. Titties will turn a 17-year-old boy's head. It absolutely will. Titties will turn a 17-year-old head. I don't know why the developers don't do it more, but it's kind of like delivering porn to children, though. It's really fucked up. But I mean, that's what they did. The Age of Conan was like delivering porn to children. I actually kind of was a little bit weirded out by it, but I was of age. I was 18 when I played that game, I think. So, but whatever. And so yeah, and that's my thing about Funcom. They cannot design, but yet they're permitted to just make 5 MMOs over 50 years or whatever. And they have this weird slew of dudes who hate them, who follow them across all of their fucking games. And I've seen those people before. I've heard them talk on forums. I've seen them do videos when Age of Conan was doing, when Conan Exiles was making its rise. And I've seen these boys talk, and they've been around with Funcom, and they are like those boys that play Star Citizen. They're fucking set. Like Pirate Software plays Ashes of Creation, even though it's a bad game and stuff. All these other tools, like fucking, what's that guy that imploded and quit Ashes of Creation or whatever. But all these other tools that play Star Citizens and shit that are just dead set on seeing if the game will make it, and that are just doing content for like 10 years and stuff. Funcom has like a crew of like 3,000 dudes who follow them to every game that they make. And those guys don't know how to play video games, and they don't know what a good game is, and they've been raised on Funcom games, so they're biased towards Funcom, and they think that Funcom is better than all the other companies out there. But I mean, when you play the game, you can tell it's obviously not even 1/20th as good as Rust or even Minecraft. So, but those boys, I've met them and talked to them before, and I've ran across them. They are on that copium the way that Ashes of Creation and Star Citizen innocent people are, and they created that shit. Those Funcom boys, and they've been referred to like that by MMO players like me, like for all of our lives and stuff. Those Funcom boys, we know about them. There's like 3,000 of them or so. At any given time, there's about 300 of them on Age of Conan or Conan Exiles or Dune Awakening or one of those, or even they'll go back and they'll play Anarchy Online because they think that Anarchy Online was as good as WoW because that's the only WoW clone they ever played. So they think that, and I have these issues with games too. I think that some games are just better than other games because it's the only game I played in that genre or whatever. So they think that Anarchy Online was better than World of Warcraft because Anarchy Online came first, and that technically does sort of make it better than World of Warcraft at that time of 1994 or 96 or whatever the fuck it is. But the minute WoW hit, everybody knew that the Anarchy Online people were idiots. The Entropia people were idiots. The fucking Warhammer Age of Reckoning people were idiots. I was part of the Arcage people, and I was a Primarch. Not the Arcage people. I was part of the Terra people, and I was a Primarch on Feral Valley as the first hunter to 60, which is like really no lifer shit. That's up there with that's up there with getting Field Marshal on fucking World of Warcraft Classic or something like that. And it was like that. It took me 11 months of grinding 12-hour fucking days on Hunter to get to 61st and do all the stuff in Terra and get good at the game. It was a hard game. It was a genuinely hard game. I still think of that way about it. Well, no, Terra was easier when they put it on the PlayStation, but it was hard for about 5 years. It was hard game up there with Elden Ring or Dark Souls. You could get your ass beat by a BAM in Terra really bad. And Terra was a good game. It was a WoW clone that could have been a WoW killer if they had handled it better, but they didn't. Korean games never handle it correctly, just like Funcom. They don't handle their shit correctly. Something about foreign MMOs, they just don't have that Western magic. And it's not because I don't play Eastern games. It's that they don't know how to design. They don't have big budgets, and they don't have the history. They don't have big games that teach them how to make other really big games. Their best MMO, I think, is probably, honestly, what's it called? Anarchy Online was the great, well, no, Lineage 1 and Lineage 2 were the greatest foreign MMOs. But I mean, Anarchy Online was also the other really big famous foreign MMO that did have a place in the scene. It was a really big contender and stuff. And so we loved Funcom because they would take risks with stuff like grappling hooks and jetpacks and stuff, but you wouldn't really say that they're actually a competent developer. None of their games sold. None of them. So if you couldn't see this coming for Dune Awakenings because you didn't play their previous games like me, because you're just not 45 years old like me, you didn't play all those games. But one of the things I thought I could bring to a very high value to this stream is stuff like this. I can wax intellectual about Dune because I was there, way better than this guy who makes $20 million doing that. This guy doesn't know anything about Funcom whatsoever. And I was there for every one of their releases. I've talked to their crew before. I've been a member of that community of like 3,000 people that are across all of their games and stuff. And I know who they are and how they act and how snobby they are and how much I dislike them and stuff. And honestly, they're all like Rust players that rob each other for loot and shit like this too. So they're also rude PvPers and stuff. And for some reason, they think that crappy game, Conan Exiles, is better than Rust and better than fucking Ark and better than fucking all these other survival games like DayZ, that they're just tripping. They're fucking tripping. Like Conan Exiles is a good game and you can get lost in it for the rest of your life if you want. Has a lot of content and stuff like a good survival game like Minecraft or whatever. You can Minecraft up your experience in Conan Exiles. It's not a bad sandbox, but it's not a good game. And those boys will tell you that it is because they're on that copium. But no, the total amount of current players playing any Funcom titles across 5 generations of MMOs that are all still live, by the way, for some fucking reason, they have like 300 players all in all. Maybe 3,000 if you count Dune Awakening, which I don't. Because the only people hanging around Dune Awakening are the people robbing people and cheating. That's it. That's the only people still willing to play Dune Awakening are cheaters and people who are robbing clans on a large clan basis. That's it. Anybody else is going to get eaten by the large clans, fucked by cheaters, or bombed by ornithopters, or playing a bad game anyways. It's a fucking playing a bad game anyways. Minecraft is a better game still than fucking Conan Exiles. It just is.
PvP centric, including.
That's sad. That's a crappy game on the 360. That was like the precursor to survival sandbox games, and it's still fucking better than a game that came out 15 years later with which I don't know if the budget was bigger than Minecraft, but I think it definitely had better graphics. And even with better graphics and all that stuff, and two newer generations than Minecraft, they didn't even manage to fucking like they didn't even manage to graze like Minecraft's toe. They just, you know, and it's weird. It's like, why would you play like Conan Exiles over Minecraft? It's just not even as good of a game. It's not. I mean, granted, Conan Exiles has titties or whatever, but it's not a good game.
Almost.
Granted, Dune Awakening has, you know, grappling hook, but it's not a good game.
PvP, like Rust. But there are some noticeable differences here. First, if we look at Dune Awakening.
First, the combat sucks dick. Second, the graphics suck dick. Third, the settings suck stick. The you know, it just goes on. I don't mean to say suck stick. I'll just say suck, I guess. Yeah, the graphics suck. The fucking sandworms suck. The fucking premise sucks. The base building sucked. The combat sucked. I mean, what was good about this game? Other than it's a sandbox. There are people who will stand around sandboxes convinced that that particular sandbox is that is their game. And yeah, they do have people playing this game like that. But I mean, there's nothing to keep them there. There's nothing really to keep them here. And there is Dune fanatics who really like Dune video games, who only sit around and read Frank Herbert's Dune over and over and over again. They probably don't even read the sequels because they probably don't consider them that big of a canon or whatever. There are Dune fanatics who do play Dune Awakening, right? But there's not too many of them. The pop ended up being like 150. There is 150 diehard Dune fans that are there because they fucking worship Dune, and it's the only game that's ever given them Dune, right? But they thought that would be 150,000 people. They were wrong. It was 150. Now let's go look. I might be wrong. You know, I might be wrong. Let's hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that they did a little bit better than what I'm saying. But I bet the pop's down below 3,000 for Dune Awakening, which is the death of a survival game. You can't keep a survival game with that low pop. The community will eat itself. The community is so toxic in the PvP communities like that if it gets down to 3,000 pop, they just shit on each other. I watched it happen to Mortal. They eat each other alive. They build all these crazy long tips with everybody on the fucking server. They talk shit and they've all got gangster names and stuff like this, and they think everybody else on the server sucks, but they're all just crazy megalomaniacal nerds that have no control over their fucking emotions, basically. And then they shit on each other for like 5 years. They constantly talk about how the game's dead, and then they ruin the game. They themselves, the community, ruin the fucking game, and then they sit around copium being like, "This is the only good survival game that's ever been made." And I know because I did this with Rust, but I mean, it sucks. Rust does suck. Rust sucks and it died. And we can go look right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go look. Let's go see how these games are doing. It's a joke. The industry is dying. Music industry is dying. I've said it so many times in the last 3 days. The music industry is dying. The gaming industry is dying. Our politician industry is dying. We're maybe going to war. We're very, very poor. We're desperate. Everybody's brain rot tablet. Nobody knows how to use a controller anymore even. It's really weird. And yeah, and so we're gonna go look at what things are doing. Bongo Cat's doing better than Arc Raiders, which means that the people who are trying to grift off of Bongo Cat to sell fucking like gotcha stuff are actually more dedicated to Bongo Cat than people playing Arc Raiders are dedicated to Arc Raiders. That is a wallpaper engine is doing just as good as Arc Raiders, which is fucking crazy. You can see that these numbers are down. This number never changes. Counter-Strike 2's peak, it always sits at 1.6 million or something like that, because that is their core daily crowd that does skins and plays their game every day and stuff, and it drops down to about 600,000, but this number never changes. It's always like 1.6 million. It's been like that since CSGO 2 launched. But, you know, and Dota 2 is the same. Dota always sits around 750 and just sits there. And PUBG always sits there between like 150 and 750, depending on how new the content is. But all the rest of these games are dying. Like all of them. Bongo Cat is beating Arc Raiders. Rust is dying. It's down to 100,000 pop from 700,000. Path of Exile is down to 100,000 from 300,000. Delta Force is doing okay. It must be a good extraction shooter. They like this game. They're doing okay. Grand Theft Auto 5 is doing better than Enhanced, which is just crazy, but now they're the same title with the same pop, which makes no sense. 5 Legacy does need to move on to Enhanced now. It's a far superior game at the exact same price and the exact same gigs. Why would you play a Legacy game? Maybe because you can mod it easier, I guess. Maybe you can mod Legacy better, and Enhanced won't let you mod, maybe, which is why. Maybe Charles Prodigy is on Legacy. I don't know. I've never been there. But yeah, I'm guessing that you have to play modded on Legacy, I'm guessing. So Enhanced is picking up as people start to work on the Michael DLC grind and get ready for GTA 6. And that's good. These games are still climbing, and they are pulling Rust Pop. Grand Theft Auto 5 is still pulling Rust Pop, which is insane. Rust is always up here really high, usually eating all these numbers and stuff, and slowly climbing the charts. But no, they mishandled Rust or something. And now Rust is down, really down, like to a 7th of where it used to be. Stardew Valley is up, which makes no sense. It's an isometric Super Nintendo game, but it's so well made according to these diehard fans that 100,000 people will play this game at any given time. Monster Hunter Wilds is slowly being fixed, so it's starting to climb back up the charts again. Blade Point has sat in the top 20 for the last, 5 years, 3 years, I don't really know. And TF2 is always in number 19 for some fucking reason. Battlefield 6 tanked from 750,000 down to 104, and now we're gonna go take a look at what is it? It's the Steam DB, and we're gonna look at several games. The first one being Dune Awakening. You know, this is like a business to me. It's like tracking, it's like what fantasy football dudes who make money do. Like, I track every one of these titles. I know what they're doing. I memorize their numbers. I am an industry savant. You can't trick me. You can't show me a bad game and tell me it's good. Like, I full blown, I've been doing this so fucking long. Well, since it's easy, we're gonna check out Mortal Online 2 and see how bad they've died since I left. Right, because it's so fucking sad. But let's see how bad Mortal died since I left. They're at 218 players right now, and 351 in the last day. And this is what happened to Dune Awakening too. That's the next one. Anybody who tried to do these weird niche games that put you in a setting that not everybody likes, they suffer. I am slowly losing my voice for some reason. I don't know why. Dune Awakening is sitting at, on Steam anyways, and it is a cross-console game. It's sitting at, where's the numbers, damn it? What are you doing here? I wanted the charts. 3,000. So, it's not dead. It's not alive. Maybe this is the players they will always keep. But the problem is, I think they dumped, like, $300 or $500 million into this game. And if you do that math, if they sold 189,000 copies at $60 a pop, I mean, I don't like doing math like this because it's incredibly rude to them. But I mean, like, I don't care. We're going to do the fucking math because it's depressing. 189,000 copies was their peak, and that's what I'm going to call it, is like their sales on Steam, right? Their main sales. And they do have a launcher, so there's probably a few more copies sold. Probably another maybe 30,000 copies sold or something like that. So I'm going to bump it a little bit to like 210 because it is a cross-console game and it is on consoles and stuff. So yeah, we're going to say 210,000, add in another 30K pop to comprise all the other consoles that aren't Steam. And we're going to say 210,000 times $60. It's not that hard. It's, 210,000 times whatever the fuck you did, you fucking retard, shithead, fucking software developer. What the fuck did you do? You're a fucking idiot. Anyways, $12,600,000. And they don't charge a monthly for this game. That's their takeaway. It's like maybe their best takeaway estimation is $12 million, 600,000. And remember, they dumped like $300 million into this. They spent the last 25 years nest egg to build this game. And it's not so good. I mean, they cleared 12.6. Yeah. Maybe 12.6, 210,000 copies sold at $60 a pop, and maybe a few more later on at 30 or something like that. And yeah, $12,600,000 in 300 million out. I'm just gonna guess how much did Dune Awakening cost. Let's just go see if somebody knows, right? And yeah, how much did Dune Awakening cost Funcom? How much did Dune Awakening cost Funcom? Can't you get this tech better? You're really bad at this. It's 64.3 is what they reported. So yeah, they spent 6 times what they made. It's a failure. In Rust terms, they failed the raid. You know, there was no profit. They did not get sulfur. They did not get bitches. They blew out 6 times what they made. And this is why Dune Awakening is dead. Because we know that they can't. We know that they cannot design. They just can't. Also, I believe they've got a predatory store, if I recall. I think they've got a predatory store. They thought they were going to sell skins like Fortnite, but the game's got to be good if you want to do that. We know that like Once Human can sell skins. I bought them because the game's good. I won't buy skins from Dune Awakening. The game's not good. You know,
survival game, then people's arguments for having private servers and accessibility.
I think Once Human is going to slowly creep up on these people, and I think it's going to take like 5 or 10 years, but I think one day we're going to look up and Once Human's going to be where Rust is in like the top 3, and it's going to take a while. Like a fucking while. And you want to know why? It's because Western people don't trust Korean gacha games. But if they ever get over that bump, if there's ever like some gacha that suddenly like blows like Fortnite or something like that, right? And we keep getting scared there's gonna be games like that. Like, oh God, what if Genshin gets really, really big, you know? And we get a little scared that these gacha titles might go gargantuan good and take over World of Warcraft and shit like this, right? And we get a little scared of them. And this is why... why Once Human isn't in the top 5. It's racism. The West cannot stand the idea of playing a Korean grinder that's a gacha that isn't American or British or some kind of other Western company that the developers don't speak the same language and the game is weird and it plays like an anime. The Western culture will not embrace that. We saw that with Once Human. And honestly, you know, Dune Awakening suffered from this. It was a foreign MMO. Dune Awakening suffered from this thing too. It was a foreign MMO that we didn't trust, with an IP that wasn't that good, with a setting that wasn't that good. And we're leery about that lately because it's like there's a lot of foreign gacha games trying to take advantage of us with predatory monetization. I know, because one of my favorite games is Once Human. But I mean, Once Human is good enough to climb these charts way faster than fucking Dune Awakening. And I'm fairly sure the current player pop for Once Human between Steam and their launcher is like 35,000 or something like that. That's like 10 times what fucking Funcom is doing with Dune Awakening. And Once Human is a free game, you know? They want $30 to $60 for Dune Awakening. Once Human is the greatest free game ever made, short of Fortnite, you know? Or like, I don't know, what else is super free and super good? Hearthstone, Fortnite, Candy Crush, Angry Birds, or whatever that's free. I think you actually have to buy that. But, you know, like all those free cell phone games and stuff. But there's a lot of free games that are really worth their fucking grit. They're actually super fucking good, you know? Eve Echoes is a super good cell phone game. There's like, you know, there is depth on the cell phone and stuff. But, I mean, we do not trust Korean cell phone games that are gacha that try to sell us skins like Fortnite. That kind of seems like FIFA loot box level of bad. So the Westerners, they just will not play Once Human. The problem is, Once Human is a good Rust killer. It is a good 76 killer. It is a really good, genuinely beautiful game. It's got a good engine. It's modern. It's got good music. It's got good gameplay and taming and stuff, all that Power World stuff. It even has a Power World collaboration. But because Westerners do not trust Korean gacha or Genshin Impact or any of that other shit, and they're terrified of Honkai Star Rail, they don't like what Fortnite did to them with skin monetization, or FIFA with loot boxes, or Overwatch with loot boxes, or any of the fucking crappy shit that they got predatorized by Overwatch or any of these other games, or Fortnite skins, or Siege skins, or whatever the people do, Rust skins, right? And so they get wary of these gachas, and I don't know why. I don't know why Once Human even tried to come to the Western market, because it's obvious that Westerners are biased against JRPGs. They're biased against Korean grinders. They're biased against fucking Asians. They're biased against Turkish MMO creators. The poor Quinfall guy came up against that. And I'm sorry, but I'm fucking sick of the racism in the MMO scene. It is racism. It's like literally a fucking judgment based on the color of their fucking skin and nothing else. It's software code. Who the fuck cares what the race is of the software developer who built the software developer code in the video game? I don't give a flying fuck about that. But the Western culture absolutely does. And the Easterners, they hate this. They fucking hate it. They left our market, and I'm not sure the Western market is aware of this, but their game journalists don't talk to us. The Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, and so many other Russian journalists, they're game journalists, they don't talk to us. So we have no idea what their main game is. We don't know what they're playing. We don't know what their MMOs names are. We don't know what maybe if we have bilingual people working in Wired, they might know. But I mean, unless you can speak 5 languages like Kira, and you played like gacha games all your life like Kira, you have no idea what Korean MMO players are playing, and it's absolutely not Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty has a population of like 3,000. Some of these other games, like when Tower of Fantasy went, they had like 13 million or something crazy. So like, you know, and we don't know what the numbers are because Tower of Fantasy is a Korean company, and they don't want to tell us what numbers they have, and they don't report to Steam, and they don't like Steam, and they don't care about Steam. They use launchers, and they don't want Steam, and they think Steam's predatory and stuff like this, and we think they're predatory. But they give a really good free product. Steam does not. And honestly, their bias towards Westerners being greedy is a lot better than our bias against them for being gacha greedy, because gacha is free. You know, the way Westerners monetize is not free in any way. More like $100 for a premium package, you know? So yeah, both sides have good things, both sides have bad things. But Koreans, they make good games. You know, I would say Terra was a good game. Bluehole was a good studio. I actually was going to go work for Bluehole at one point. They offered me a game tester position at $30,000 a year, or whatever it was, $50,000 a year or something, to be a North American Alliance, Feral Valley Primarch Hunter. Fucking, I had a future in Terra, I thought. And so then I benchmarked for them, and they saw that I was playing Terra, the most intensive game on the current market, with a piece of shit potato. They laughed at me in Korean. They auto-translated it, and they were like, based on your benchmark, you do not qualify to be a game tester for us, and we don't understand how you're running our game in the first place. Have a nice day, sir. We're terribly sorry that we led you on, and we think you're a talented gamer, and that you have a future, but it's not with us. And I was like, yeah, I'm poor. I'm a drug addict. I smoke weed. I smoke cigarettes. I drink a lot. I don't have any money. And I have an expensive apartment that's like, now it's like $750 a month or something like that. And I was making like maybe $1,000. So it's like I have $250 left after that. And that's got to go for food, cigarettes, money, travel, gas, repairs, games, all that stuff. So no, I don't have a new computer. I stole my computer from a LAN cafe 5 years ago, And I mean this. I stole when I realized that we weren't going to be able to play Counter-Strike 1.6 without brand new computers. I went into a Dream Cafe when I was like 16 years old with one of my best friends and stuff. I had him distract the LAN cafe manager, and I went in the back and I unplugged like 7 towers. I stacked them. I knew what I was going to do when I did it. I stacked all 7 in a stack of 3 and a stack of 4, and I walked out the back door of the LAN cafe with stacks of CPUs in the the middle of the fucking day at 4:30 in the fucking afternoon on a sunlit day. The doors were open. There was like 15 people in the LAN cafe, and I was like a fucking cat burglar. I just came back there with gloves on. I unplugged all 7 fucking CPU towers because I knew the guy was a scrub. I knew he wasn't watching. I knew I could take advantage of him. I knew I could fucking win something I really, really wanted. So I came in like the little shithead 16-year-old kid that I was, and I stacked up 7 $3,000 computers in the back before I made my play, and I picked up a stack of 4 heavy-ass Pentium 4 fucking computers worth like, I don't know, $700 piece or something like that back then. They weren't new, but they weren't old either, and they were nice gaming rigs and stuff, and I gave gaming rigs to all of my friends. I walked out the back with a stack of 4 CPUs. I threw them in the back of my Subaru. I went back in the fucking Dream Cafe. This was like 30 years ago or something like that. My friend's still talking to the LAN Cafe guy up front. I go get the next stack of 3 CPUs. I whistle in the back. He kind of nonchalantly sort of saunters out the back. He smokes a cigarette by the back door because we're actually trying to win this fucking heist, you know? We're not trying to tip him off that there's 7 computers missing in the back row now or anything. We were off camera. I blocked the camera in the back. I full-blown blocked it. Like I full-blown put tape on the fucking camera where they couldn't see who did it and shit. I blocked the camera and I stepped with something like $3,500 worth of stolen stolen towers, just towers, no cords, no mice, no keyboards, no monitors, nothing, just 7 fucking towers, you know. And I threw them in the back of my Subaru. I drove 105 miles an hour down Peoria, or what, I don't know, what's that street out there? It's fucking Hampton. I drove like 105 miles an hour down Hampton for about 6 blocks, you know, get away from the scene, slowed down to 35 miles an hour. And I went to each and every one of my best friends' houses, and this is a story, and I handed them each like a $750 gaming rig. And I was like, here, we can play Counter-Strike now. And this was a recurring theme with me. My poverty preventing me from playing the games that I wanted to play, and me just breaking whatever fucking rules I had to make that barrier go away. And I did whatever I had to all my life to make sure that my gaming addiction was reduced. It was never reduced any more than I could possibly manage. You know, I want to be playing games 105 hours a week. I've always been like that since I was like 16 years old, even with being a lead singer or having girlfriends or having huge crews or being a drug dealer. It didn't matter. That was always my desire. Play video games for 105 hours a week or something like that. It is my comfort level. Is where I like to be. So I will do whatever the fuck I have to make sure that nothing interrupts that dream. It is an addiction that rivals or is far worse than heroin, and it's hurt me more. You know, it's hurt me more. It's destroyed my body and like scared all my friends off and stuff. Like gaming addictions, they're not bad, but they're not good either. You know, they're not bad. They're not going to kill you. Gaming addiction will not kill you. It just won't. But, you know, so I couldn't say it's bad. I really wouldn't say it's bad. You know, it's bad to do anything too much. All things in moderation. But a gaming addiction isn't good either. You know, it's not good for your body. It's not good for your time. It's job, work, play, all that stuff. So, you know, it is good and it is bad. But if anything comes between me and what I do, I just remove whatever that barrier is, and I have removed whatever that barrier is in major ways all of my fucking life. And it's what you do when you have a craft and you need the tools of the trade to do your craft. You do whatever the fuck you have to.
Ones are actually
like and stealing 7 towers from a Dream Cafe when I was 16 years old. I'm not proud of that. But I mean, like, you know, all of my best friends had gaming PCs for 7 years, though. And I remember when those blue towers that I stole with nice little blue lights inside and stuff all died within the same year. All of them had the same fucking planned obsolescence thing. And 7 years later, yep, my friend R's computer died. My computer died. Sen's computer died. Jan's computer died. Everybody's computer fucking died. All 7 of those towers from that crappy Dream Cafe all died within 6 months of each other. And we all had to go drop like $2,000 on gaming rigs to go play games like Final Fantasy XIV. And that's when I sort of started to think that maybe gaming was something that I couldn't afford even. I was like robbing game stores and fucking robbing LAN cafes and shit like this just to get my fix. And I was like, maybe this is worse than heroin. And I decided to maybe try something else for a little while. But then I just picked up a World of Warcraft addiction and became one of the greatest raiders in the world, and one of the highest eye levels in WoW in the MOP era, and I realized that I have some skill at doing this, so I don't want to stop, and I won't let anything stop me.
Argument, right? And if you lean into the MMORPG realm more, well, then you have grander expectations that the game just totally fumbles on. And part of that is like things like safety, something that's actually more expected in an MMORPG versus a survival game. The best comparison we can make with the deep desert is the wilderness in old school RuneScape. Contrary to popular belief, PvP zones, no matter what, are always going to be controversial, and some are going to be way better than others.
Yeah, I don't like that PvP gets a bad rap because I am a big PvPer, but I'm moving away from that scene. I don't want to ever fight another player in anything but a game of skill or chance. I don't ever want to shoot another player in the fucking head unless it's like Overwatch or Fortnite or something that's honorable. I am not doing free-for-all PvP ever again in any game. Something about it has poisoned the well for me. I am not going to ever do it ever again. I say this all the time too.
It's just that in old school RuneScape, you have the wilderness, sure, but you also have like 300 plus worlds, by comparison to the 80 in Dune. This means that you, with the right dedication and nerddom and sweatiness, could pick the right server at the right time and make your journey through the wilderness much safer. But even then, people complain about the wilderness. I mean, there's a new profession they put behind the wilderness that drove people crazy because of that. And that's in a fairly PvP-friendly game for a franchise that's now eclipsed $2 billion in revenue lifetime. The point I'm making is regardless of...
Yeah, they've made $2 billion and they dumped $60 million on Dune, and in the end, they're just bilking people for 50 years and stuff, and they do make $2 billion, but none of their games have been successful, and this is why I don't trust Funcom. It's okay, if you made $2 billion, you should probably make Dune Awakening good, That's a lot of money to take from my community to make this many bad games, It's a fair assessment.
If you create something meant to create endless amounts of content...
Yeah, that climbing was good, but I mean, they did it 10 years before in Conan Exiles, and it's not good enough anymore. Now we need boats and bases and mobile bases and stuff, and yeah, that stuff that you thought was groundbreaking, that Halo Infinite tried to do with the grappling hook and stuff, it's good, but it's not good enough anymore. You didn't catch the meta boat when you needed to, This shit's about timing, and Funcom does not have timing, not at all. They're marching to the beat of their own drum. They released in the summer of 25 because they're probably terrified of Grand Theft Auto 6 just full-blown killing their game. But I mean, it was a bad time to release Dune Awakening, I'm fairly sure. I think it needed another 2 years in the oven. But I mean, these developers eventually, I think they get stir crazy. They get antsy, and they're like, "Oh my God, we've been working on this for 10 years. Is it ever gonna release?" And they get nervous. But honestly, it would be just better if you just kept working on it. What up, G? You gonna fuck with me? You better not. I'm struggling with this thing where every African American person that I have played on my stream in the last week has been gangster rap is absolute garbage. It's bad for black people and white people, and it never should have been the thing that it was. And that was every frank African American opinion that I've listened to in the last week. They were all rap music is complete garbage. And that's weird. That was not the black attitude for a long time, but I think it is now. I'm not gonna shoot at you if you don't shoot at me, fucker. did I get one? No. Like, PvP has turned me into a really nasty person. I was already a nasty person because of all the shit that happened to me on the streets. But PvP also really turned me into a genuinely uncaring person who is not interested in the plights of other human beings. And that's gotta stop. I mean, free-for-all PvP did so much fucking damage to me in so many different ways. I don't like the callous nature that I have used now for like 5 years as some kind of cloak of fucking like concealment of like who I actually am, which is a nice person. So I'm constantly angry and really rude and really mean to all the other gamers that I meet. And I don't like that aspect of my personality. That came from Rust and Eve and Mortal. I know it did, and it came from Old Mortal too. And like, and I know it did. It comes from places like Fortnite and shit and Overwatch. And I just don't, you know, I don't think PvP was that good of an experiment for me. I don't think it's in my nature to fight people. Maybe because I've never harmed a living thing ever in my fucking life. You can just see it's not in my nature. So, oh no, is this keyboard dying? I think it is. Damn it. Keyboards are dying. I think I can plug my headphones in now, which is good. I'm gonna go till 4 and then stop. The time just blows by these days. The minute that the I feel like the gaming industry died this week, is suddenly the time is like blasting by for me because I know there's nothing I'm rushing to do. There's nothing I need to go do. I can just grind Grand Theft Auto 5 as slow or as fast as I want. Grind Starfield as slow or as fast as I want. Grind X4 as slow or as fast as I want. Grind 76 as slow or as fast as I want. And I don't have to do any of it if I don't want. And that was the pacing I was always kind of looking for, but I didn't want to feel lazy. So now... Damn it, I didn't want that armor. See, I have heavy armor. Why won't you let me use armor then? You're so annoying. Don't kill my car. This thing needs to be plugged in, I guess. Give me my orange cord. Oh, did I flip the thing? Is that what I did? No? Okay. So I have control, yeah, I think. We're good. So then, yeah, take me back. Why do I have a blue truck? That seems weird. I gotta switch my headphones manually, I guess. The blue truck. What is that?
Or emergent gameplay that involves player conflict, no matter what kind, it's almost always going to be controversial. The reason that old school RuneScape works more than Dune Awakening is because you can avoid the wilderness in old school RuneScape and still have the complete full in-game experience, pretty much. In Dune, limiting resources to a PvP-enabled zone is not inherently bad and doesn't really contradict their claim that PvP is optional. I know, sorry guys, you can't get everything in a world without any risk, not even a virtual world, especially if that's the vision for the game.
You Reddit tablet brain rot motherfucker. motherfuckers. Are you really comparing old school RuneScape to fucking Dune Awakening? Why? Because you're an OSRS player? Why? When back in 1997? Yeah, I'm sure you were. Why the fuck are you comparing a game that was made in 97 to a game made in 2025? It's weird. They're not even in the same genre, I don't think. One's an MMO and the other one's a survival game. Why did old school RuneScape come up in this conversation, you idiot? Why?
The most successful virtual world.
You know, every video that I watched, now his videos used to be so good that they were like gripping and stuff, but now I'm understanding that every topic that he talks about, I know more about than he does, and I can give a better lecture than him. And then, like, each video that I watch of his, they're less and less entertaining and more sort of annoying, and he says annoying stuff sometimes now.
Worlds have audiences that enjoy both PvP and
like old school RuneScape is wilderness is all that I know about free-for-all PvP, that game from 1996 that I played in the library because I couldn't afford a computer, right? And it's like, yeah, cool, let's compare it to that one zone and that one MMO from fucking 30 years ago that we used to play on penny and ones at the public library that has that one wilderness zone that maybe the people who play old school RuneScape know about, but the rest of the goddamn MMO industry has no clue what the wilderness in OSRS is, because the majority of people who play MMOs started with World of Warcrafts, not OSRS. So why you would be comparing wilderness as compared to just the overworld and WoW, they call it open world PvP. What is the difference between open world PvP, between factions, and WoW? And what you're talking about with the wilderness, there isn't. I mean, in wilderness, you can loot somebody. You can't loot somebody in WoW, but you can pull honor off them and then buy gear with it. What's the difference between taking their gear or just accruing the honor by killing them and then buying gear with the honor? I don't really see the fucking difference. So why take their gear when you can just get a little bit of honor off their kill and it's a lot more above the board? That was one of the things that made WoW PvP way better, is you don't full loot drop, you know? So yeah, but I mean, you bring it, and I swear to God, all of these kids, they're like 33 to 35 years old, and they all think old school RuneScape is the greatest game ever fucking made. And I'm sorry, but that piece of shit isometric MMO that we used to play on penny and ones from 1996, whether it's been remastered or not, or whatever it is still the same game that it was in 96. Nothing's changed. Why are you comparing Dune Awakening to old school RuneScape? I find it offensive, basically. It's like comparing Pokemon to Star Citizen or something. It's fucking retarded.
PvE, but they all approach.
Why? Because Wilderness was free for all? So was Ultima Online. So was EVE Online. I mean, fucking Wilderness and OSRS. Ultima and EVE are better fucking Wilderness examples than OSRS. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but you seem to be like professing that you're this expert at this stuff. But there are many other free-for-all PvP games that came out in that era that weren't, you know, fucking OSRS Wilderness, you know? That is not the most famous example of free-for-all PvP. That would be EVE Online.
How they address these players in different ways.
You know, battles and wars were $300,000 USD and ship losses and stuff. That's the shit that got fucking famous. Not fucking old school RuneScape. Fucking wilderness battles with dudes who gather, you know, fucking shrimp all day.
So then how did some of these succeed? Well, we have an example. Dark Ages of Camelot, as we've mentioned before, is one of the most successful MMORPGs of all time and a pioneer in its genre, especially PvP. Dark Ages of Camelot found success by introducing players to PvE and PvP.
Oh, look at how bad the graphics are. When I tried to play this game with my friend Ailey, she was like really interested in me, like becoming, I think she was shopping me for a boyfriend, even though she was a lesbian. And she was like trying to see if she could maybe look past it, maybe, because we really had a lot in common. But she was this beautiful lesbian who owns, of all things, she's like a paid DM at her own fucking Dungeons and Dragons store. And she's successful too, because it's like a coffee house as well. And she's successful, and she lives in Texas, and she's a good friend. I haven't seen her in like 5 years, but she is a good friend. And like, you know, and I mean, that's the story with all my friends. I haven't seen them in 5-7 years, but they're good friends, you know, because it's just like that with me. And you know, and she brought me to this game. What's it called? You know, Dark Age of Camelot. And I was like, I don't think I can do these DDO graphics in 2021.
Early, instead of keeping it hidden behind 100 hours of
And
gameplay.
I still don't think I can. I don't think I can do Locho graphics anymore. I don't think I can do DDO graphics. I don't think I can do Guild Wars 1 graphics, even if it's a remaster. These graphics are unacceptable to me. I don't think I can do Warhammer Age of Reckoning relaunch or whatever. I can't do these crappy graphics from 2004 anymore.
Same thing, one of the game's spiritual success.
And I swear to God, Ashes of Creation has crappy 2004 graphics. You know, all these newfangled like rip-off games, they're all kind of
did most famous.
They all have DDO graphics and stuff.
In my opinion, the most successfully in terms of appealing to.
The UI is terrible. Like the fucking graphics are terrible. Like even when they were current, the graphics were terrible.
Non-PvPers and casual players alike.
The combat isn't as good as WoW.
And that's one.
It looks like it's got sync problems like DDO, where you might actually be hitting somebody, but he might be not syncing correctly. So maybe he's actually 4 steps away.
Look,
you can see the sync problems really, really bad.
A game that has.
There's no way you could pay me to play this game. And I was like, God damn it, this game didn't speak to me. And I actually really wanted it to speak to me because Ailey wanted to just leave Final Fantasy XI and start some duo on Dark Age of Camelot and start a new game and stuff and maybe spark up a relationship. But then I was just like, I can't play this crappy game. Even the graphics in Final Fantasy XI are better than this.
PvP from basically like the very beginning.
That had like Bloom and stuff. This game has some Bloom, but it was like the month that Bloom came out was the time this game was released, you know?
Yeah, the game.
It doesn't really have Bloom. It doesn't have anything.
These games knew having these audiences overlap.
It's like playing Oblivion, the original, you know, not the like the OG Oblivion. That's what these graphics are like, and that shit doesn't look good anymore. I don't know if you guys have looked at it recently, but old school Oblivion looks like utter piece of shit poopy caca. It does not look good.
Accessible and not building like
this
separate.
Doesn't either. Dune Awakening doesn't look good. Like somewhere along the line, it became more about delivering the content than it did making it acceptable to look at.
Hate factions and whatever
That's
else.
Okay, but I mean, when I look at this crappy mob in this cutscene, and the crappy face on this NPC, and the crappy clothes that just don't look cool, the crappy metal that looks like it's got Fallout tinges on it for some reason.
Would be the best approach, especially when an economy is needed to make.
Honestly, this ship looks so fucking stupid to me. And I know it's an original Dune design, but the movie's design of this ornithopter, it really, I think the original Dune with Sting had a better fucking ornithopter design than this. This ornithopter design is fucking retarded. It looks like a Panzer tank, and it would never leave the ground. And so I really just do not like the design of this ornithopter.
PvP games work, and those usually.
I guess it's got a tail, so yeah, if these things were like, you know, ran off fusion engines and stuff, or, you know, like a fusion engines and stuff, maybe in the distant future this would work. But the physics of this ornithopter are fucking retarded. I'm sorry. They were retarded in that crappy Doom remake, and they're retarded in this game too.
Of a PvE style play.
Like if you were to stop the wings like that, what do you think's gonna happen if you're a Panzer tank? You're gonna go boom down like a fucking rock, and you're gonna die too on impact. Because look at what the wings just did. They stopped completely.
Economy is needed to make PvP.
If you stop the wings like this, what happens in the real world? You got about a second and a half of what they call, what is that, lift? Or it's not lift, it's like inertia. You have about a second and a half of inertia. If you were flying upwards, if you were like descending, you don't have the inertia. You just plummet like a goddamn stone and hit the rock a second later. It's like a second, like between when these wings stop and your death from the plummeting into this canyon like 600 feet. It's like a second and a half. You can't stop wings like like this.
Games work. And
You can't stop wings like that. The thing will plummet like a fucking stone and you'll die. And so yeah, your worthless ass movie design for that worthless ass fucking Doom remake that I shut off after like 15 minutes or something like that. Like as canon, I'm sorry, but this ornithopter really bothers my physical sense and my uncanny valley stuff. When he turns off the wings, I'm like, oh, so we're going for a plummet to the bottom of the canyon floor now?
those
Because that's not how physics work. Do you see how it's? Do you see? Like maybe in a 0G situation this would work, but he's on a planet with gravity. He's going to plummet like a stone.
include more of a PvE.
Sure, the gravity was a little lower in Doom, but it wasn't like don't fall in the canyon and die lower. It's if you were to turn off the wings like that in the original Dune like IP in the novel, you would plummet to the bottom of the canyon and die horribly. So why did you design the ornithopter in the movie like that? And why did you copy it for the game? You should have done something better. Anybody with any brain for physics, and trust me, video game coders should probably know about physics pretty well. Like shutting off those wings is so fucking mentally retarded offensive to me. Why are you shutting off these wings?
Here. Now, another major key and crucial lacking aspect of Dune Awakening and, well, New World as well.
I'm sorry, but the wings themselves, they also look like a particularly bad... What's that warning they give you about flashing lights, right? What's the thing about flashing lights where you have a conniption? Like, I swear to God, but these wings, if you were to stare at them for like 5,000 hours, they will start giving you seizures. The way that the animation is moving, they will give you seizures because it's going to give you motion sickness if you look at these wings move very long.
Similar style game we've already covered was that factions...
I know about motion sickness in video games. Those wings are terrible. I have a serious issue with that fucking ornithopter for some reason. It's not some reason. It's called physics and reality. That's why. Sure, it's a sci-fi and you got fusion engines and stuff, and maybe you've got like anti-grav generators underneath it. But the wings can't stop totally, or you just plummet because the fucking tank that you're strapped to is probably 3,000 pounds. So you plummet whether it's low G or not. You plummet, and you're probably gonna get real hurt when you hit. So like, why did you even design the ornithopter if you're gonna make it look so fucking bad? It breaks the uncanny valley so bad that I'm like, get the ornithopter off the screen now. Get the ornithopter off the screen. It's so mentally retarded, it's offending me.
They were just coats of paint.
Get the ornithopter off the screen.
They had progression, sure, but it was
that
pretty...
ornithopter is so goddamn dumb. Why do you need to make the ornithopter like a mosquito? Mosquitoes are disgusting. It's not an attractive like image. It's not an image that speaks of machinery or grace or like a good killing machine or something, like a graceful looking killing machine. It looks like a mosquito moth. You know, like looks like a wretched abortion of a drawing of a mosquito. It's fucking terrible.
Forgettable and not really unique.
I'm just gonna stop talking about the ornithopter. It was some kind of trigger for me. But I'm sorry, but like the physics are fucking dumb.
Have seemed to realize the emerging gameplay is so crucial.
This isn't how reality works. It does for fucking mosquitoes the size of a quarter. It isn't for panzer tanks. This is a panzer tank with mosquito wings, and it would plummet like a fucking stone. And I can't believe you put it in your game. If you can't understand physics well enough not to do this fucking ornithopter, you absolutely should not make Dune Awakening.
And, well, sexy,
Idiot.
but have utterly no idea how to actually accomplish it in a sandbox environment. The whole ado of players can do anything really amounts to just players
I don't like that bike. That bike is fucking retarded too.
Doing a whole lot of nothing. You need to give players...
That may not be Funcom's fault. That's looking like some idiot-ass Hollywood director, maybe, actually. But whoever the Hollywood director was of that wretched fucking abortion of a Dune series remake was that I shut off both movies within 15 minutes, right? Whoever that director is, they fucking ruined the lore. They ruined that ornithopter. They ruined that motorcycle. It's not fun to watch. I'm sure in the movie it's cooler, but still, it doesn't look good. It doesn't make Dune look cool. It looks like a weird, dumb toy.
Guidance. Teach them through repeat experiences. Hopefully.
Remember the pod racer and fucking Phantom Menace? That shit was cool. What you did is fucking stupid.
Not traumatic ones, and build their confidence so that they can do things on their own. Factions are a great place to do this. They give you a base jumping point of power and understanding, and literally a starting point for new or returning players who might be baseless, for example.
I don't like that shit.
But if you don't
plummet like a stone, like you're not even getting the sci-fi physics right.
actually
That
build
ship
out
is
a
so fucking big and you're in the atmosphere that if you tried to fucking hover with it, it would just plummet to the ground because it weighs like 80,000 pounds or something like that. You've either got to be launching it to that ship that size. You've got to be launching it to the fucking hemisphere where, or not the hemisphere, but the stratosphere where, the gravity is actually good for a ship that size, or it will just plummet like a fucking stone and leave a crater the size of that fucking ship. Like, I don't like your ships.
faction system, pun intended, while you don't get any of the benefit of, simply just having it in your game. If you want to have a good faction system and a good world besides just having and housing a bunch of murder hobos, you're going to have to build more into the world. There has to be more than just one instance or area for socializing for an entire faction. There has to be more activities, more connectivity between the zones, and roles for players to participate in that aren't just combat related. If the only thing that you can do is gather and kill gatherers, well, that's going to be the core of the game. I saw someone put it really nicely in the comments of a Dune review section one time, that Dune Awakening was a total oops game, full of oops moments. Oops, a bug made me lose all of my stuff. Oops, a bug made me die. Oops, I got killed by an invisible worm. Oops, my guild just got killed by like 6 people that blew us up with rockets. That's not the kind of experience you want your game to be like synonymous with. And that's because expecting players to be assholes should be a given. And if you want to make a controversial shared in-game PvP zone, you should definitely have that in mind. How the changes would
Their lag switch, he's showing the lag switching that they constantly do. I have never lag switched in my whole goddamn life, but I'm very, very aware that they do it all the time, and I hate it.
shake out after all of this drama
I hate lag switching. I've seen so many people do it in the WoW arena. They'll just DC as you're trying to kill them. They'll have 1% health. Their bar goes gray. They're gone for maybe 13 seconds or something like that. So you go and try and get on the other guy. They get in. They're bandaging to full and stealthing. And now you've lost the twos match because some guy decided to lag switch. And that happened to me so much in Season 2 on my fucking Gladiator grind. I only made it to Rival because of shit like that. One loss would be like 85 points or something like that. You'd have to get 5 more wins before you would get back up again. And these lag switchers would just steal the win from you. They would run the timer out if they had to. They would make you fight them for 45 fucking minutes until the timer ran and it forced a draw. Because they just wouldn't lose to you. They weren't going to lose points to you. They wanted to tie you at worst. They're either going to cheat, lag switch, and kill you, or win trade, or like slaughter you. One of the three. They're going to win trade, they're going to lag switch, or they're going to slaughter you. One of those three, or you defeat them. One of the 4. But it sucks if they're lag switching. They're probably better than you.
make or break the already struggling
Not better than you, just they have better chances than you.
Online game, and what I was seeing wasn't good. Sure, many of the angry fans would be happy, thinking that these changes would somehow mean the game is fixed for them, but these changes were just band-aid fixes, and no actual acknowledgement that the base design of the game was flawed. Funcom would introduce partial warfare or PvE zones to the deep
How bad the frame rate was.
desert, which would
This guy's bad and he doesn't know how to do his settings or unlock his frames. But I mean, you can tell, like, maybe it is the Twitch, actually. It might be it might be the YouTube, but no. You can tell this guy has, like, 32 frames. And I don't think it is the YouTube. I don't think it is. I think it's running well in 1080p. I don't think it's YouTube. I think it's that Dune sucks.
seemingly alleviate some of the problem, temporarily, but this wasn't addressing the fact
I don't think I ever want another Doom product. They keep trying to run these IPs that our fathers tried to, like, give us. Like, our fathers tried to teach us Star Wars and Dune and I don't know what else, Terminator, Aliens. Our fathers tried to give us good badass action dude movies to try to make us masculine and stuff, but honestly all of the remakes of all of these new stuff like Terminators and fucking Dunes and stuff, they suck and they were not worth making. I wish they would stop. And they took all the stuff from my childhood, like that Member Berries episode of South Park, and they ruined all of it. They ruined the canon. You know, I think even I would have been okay if Phantom Menace wasn't made, but I liked the movie. And the fact that I would be okay if the movie wasn't made, but I like the movie really bothers me. It's like, I like the movie, I'll stand and I'll fight, and I'll be like, Phantom Menace is really good. The music's good. The fucking, the swords were cool. The romance was boring, but it was good. Padme was awesome. Just fucking downright awesome. All that costume stuff they did with Padme was really over the top. It was amazing. It was like watching... what's that queen? It was a Queen Elizabeth or something that really did the crazy elaborate stuff with her hair and stuff, but it was like watching a live Queen Elizabeth or whoever it is. It was a good movie, and it had a good sense of adventure all the way from start through to end, and it left you cliffhanger like, oh my god, like what's going on? And also, they were playing with something that people forget, which is that we all knew that Anakin was fucking Darth Vader. But then they force you to, like, bond with Haley Joel Osment or whoever that fucking, actor was that played the little kid in Phantom Menace. But that was actually kind of a crazy, crazy thing for kids, because we all knew that Darth Vader dies. Every last kid in the fucking theater knew that Darth Vader dies. So one of the reasons I'd be okay that Phantom Menace wasn't made is it actually was, I think, kind of warping to the young child's mind to understand that the fucking 10-year-old that they were looking at in Phantom Menace was going to die, like, I don't know, 50, 60 years later. I don't know how old Darth Vader was when he died, 58, something like that. And that really stuck with me. And they really rode that through all of the Clone Wars movies where they're like, he dies, right? And by the third movie, it was just hackneyed. It was like, yes, I know he dies. Yes, I know he loses, he loses his ability to work with the Force and becomes a Sith, or not Force, but the Jedi side of the Force. And it's like, I get it. I know what happens already. You already told me what happens. And they rode that so bad. But I think it was traumatic for a generation of like 12-year-olds. And I was like 12 when that movie came out or something, or maybe 14 something. I don't remember. Maybe 14, I think it was. We saw Phantom Menace, I think. And God, we loved that movie. We did love that movie. It was fucking amazing. Music was so good. I saw it in 3D. It was fucking amazing. It was so good. Or I don't think I saw it in 3D then, but I saw it like a year later in 3D, and it was also good then. And I'm glad the movie was made, but I'm also not, particularly because it is a macabre movie where the main character dies. So the whole fucking time, I was like, who cares? It was a bad plot device from a writer's perspective, and I know the audience doesn't have that writer's perspective that I do. But the hackneyed plot device drove me fucking crazy, which was that we all know he dies. So why the fuck do I care if he's in a pod race? Why do I care if he's trapped in the Trade Federation ship? Why do I care if he's like flirting with Padme or whatever? Why do I care? Like at the age of 10, which was weird. And it was just like, why do I care? I know he dies. I don't care if he's friends with... It was a hackney plot device I really wish they hadn't used. I don't care if he's friends with Qui-Gon. I don't care if he's friends with fucking, what's his other name? Obi-Wan Kenobi. That made a little more sense. But it also was really, really tragic because every time they have a buddy moment, at the end of the fucking sequence, I'm thinking, buddy dies. And I had this real macabre response to it when I understood what they were doing. I knew that Haley Joel Osment, or whoever played that kid, was in the movie, and I knew what it was going to be when I went in there, because they were showing trailers, and we knew it was going to be the 6-year-old kid. And I didn't think about that when I went into the movie. I didn't think about how bad it was going to bug me when I actually sat down and watched the movie. I was like, why do I care? And it's not like I'm a nihilist. I actually really enjoyed the movie, but it was also sort of bothered me on a really fundamental level. And there's another movie that did this to me too, that the entire time, especially in the second Clone Wars film, the romance was so fucking boring. Because I know he dies. I was assuming she was going to die. She was an ancillary character. She wasn't Obi-Wan Kenobi. She wasn't him. She wasn't, you know, the trade. I don't even know, Palpatine. She wasn't Palpatine. She was, you know, she was an ancillary character at that point in the second movie, except for the love story. That felt sexist to me. They just wheeled her out so she could kiss him, basically. And then they spent like 45 minutes just looking at them play in the grass and stuff. And just talking to each other and being like, oh, I love you and stuff. It was just this lovey-dovey thing that was frankly a little saccharine. And it went on for like 45 fucking minutes. It was way, way, way too long. And it was like, just like, yeah, we get it. He's into her. They get together. You know, they have Luke Skywalker. Or was that how that works? I don't know. Was he his dad? I don't know. Yeah. They have Luke Skywalker. She's pregnant with Luke Skywalker. We get it. And so it's like after a while, I was like, this is hackneyed. It's kind of hackneyed. There was another movie that did it that wasn't hackneyed. It was just downright fucking disturbing. And I love this film. I identify with this film, but it was Spun. And there's this crazy fucked up scene, and it was the same sort of thing where it's like, you know, something really, 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 really bad happens, but they're just like putting you through the entire fucking plot for no reason, really. We know Luke Skywalker is born. We know that you know that fucking like that Anakin dies when Luke Skywalker kills him. So why do I care about Luke Skywalker? I mean, it was interesting enough that I enjoyed the movie, and I'm not a hater. It was fine. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been like that. But you could also make an argument that it was an entirely unnecessary movie, other than explaining canon and lore in a way where they could sell video games and stuff like that. I disliked how they kind of used it to use it as like this merchandise thing. They sold us so many games and so many toys for Phantom Menace. And it was cool, but it felt like a cash grab that didn't totally need to happen with a character that we know is going to die. We know Obi-Wan's going to die. We know all the characters in the film. We know they're going to die. It was a hackneyed premise, and they shouldn't have made the prequel, because we know that Obi-Wan dies. We know that fucking Yoda dies. All the characters in Phantom Menace, we know that they die before you even sit down to watch it the first fucking time. When you really think about how dumb that is, you're sort of like, why didn't you just continue on after Return of the Jedi? Why didn't you just get fucking Luke Skywalker at the age of 70? Who cares? You know, I don't care if Luke Skywalker's 70, so he's not a spring chicken anymore. Go get Kylo Ren. You know, Kylo Ren would have been a lot fucking cooler if that was like Luke Skywalker's son. If Kylo Ren was Luke Skywalker's son, it would have made a lot more fucking sense. But Han Solo was not a fucking good choice for father of Kylo Ren. Luke Skywalker made all the fucking sense in the world. Fucking Han Solo and fucking, Carrie Fisher, fucking Princess Leia, They were not Jedis. It was a problem that they weren't Jedis. They constantly battled Jedis that were way more skilled than them, and they had to run all the time, if you recall. They had to run from Darth Vader constantly because they were not as skilled as him. He could chuck a fucking lightsaber in a spinning move across the room to chop them in half. They're like dudes with laser guns that he can block with his sword. You know, that he can see the ball coming with his laser mind, and he can like block this shit back at you like a reflective shield, and like and maybe kill you with it, which did happen in those movies. So it's like, yeah, these muggles, honestly muggles, these muggles did not spawn Kylo Ren, the worst Sith to ever live, or whatever they were trying to say, besides Palpatine's pupil, the worst Sith to ever live, essentially a young Palpatine, right? But it would make a lot more fucking sense if it was Luke Skywalker's son. Luke Skywalker was a Jedi. Get Luke Skywalker laid. He was chasing his sister the entirety of all 3 of the fucking movies in some incest drama, which we also didn't like. The whole thing was sort of weird that he like kissed his sister, if you recall, and that didn't need to be there either. And they should have thought about it. And I think they thought that was like 70s and freaky. It would bother people. But then it's all in harmless fun because they realize that they're siblings, and then they just never kiss again. And siblings can kiss. That's fine, you know, as long as it's not like, you know, what's her name and her brother. But would have made a lot more sense if Kylo Ren was Luke Skywalker's son. I want to rewrite Star Wars completely with stuff that would have made a lot more sense. Like, for instance, Han Solo and fucking Princess Leia were muggles, so why did they have the greatest Death Eater son of all time? That would have made sense of Luke Skywalker, not fucking Han Solo. Kylo Ren looked like Luke Skywalker. He had the bearing of a Luke Skywalker. He did not have a bearing of a Carrie Fisher or a fucking Han Solo. He had like a, you know, the bearing of a young Luke Skywalker. It was almost written like that, kind of, but they didn't write it like that. It was very odd. That didn't make sense, right? So, Phantom Menace, you know that Obi-Wan Kenobi dies the second the fucking movie opens the frame at the end of the yellow credits running, you know, at the beginning of the film, and they show up at the Trade Federation ship. I've seen that movie like 20 times. They show up at the Federation ship, and they do the coolest thing I think that any Jedi does in all of the movies, which is Force Run, which I thought was so cool. The Force Run was the coolest thing in all of the movies. If they could all Force Run, the movies would have been so much better. It would have been like watching Sonic the Hedgehog battle fucking Darth Vader, but they didn't use Force Runs the way they should have. That shit was so cool. But anyways, the Force Run scene happens, which I thought was so cool. I was like, oh, this movie's so good. It's so good. It's Force running. It's like he's Sonic the Hedgehog. I was so in love with Sonic the Hedgehog when I was like 12. I was like, oh my God, he's Sonic the Hedgehog now. Obi-Wan Kenobi is Sonic the Hedgehog now. You know, I'm like yelling it in my brain, you know? But then comes the immediate crushing thought, but Obi-Wan Kenobi dies. And then I'm like, wait, isn't there some 6-year-old in this movie that's playing Anakin? And I'm like, but Anakin dies. And then I'm like, wait, is Yoda in this movie? And he was, I think. Or I don't know, was he in the first one? Was Yoda in the first one? I can't remember. I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think they go back to the Senate City till the second one. But yeah, I don't know if Yoda was in the first one. I don't think he was. He showed up. It was a big deal that he showed up in the second one, I think. Yeah. So, but that sucked because we know Yoda dies of old age. We know all these people fucking die. The first movies were so depressing because they had the kind of ethos to kind of bum you out with it, that everybody was ghosts at the end of Return of Jedi. Everybody was ghosts at the end of Jedi, right? Everybody was dead at the end of Jedi. It was fucked up, but it was an acknowledgement that it was this terrible war, and that everybody's grandfather is a ghost now, and you know, and Anakin can finally retire as a ghost and not be plagued by the dark side of the Force anymore at the end of the Return of the Jedi. And it would have made a lot more fucking sense if they just didn't take a bunch of dead characters to tell a worthless story, because everybody dies and you know they're gonna die the first second of the Phantom Menace. And so I had this fatalism about it. by the second movie, I had this fatalism about it where I was like, I just can't be immersed in these characters that I know are going to die and that I know it's going to bother me. It's just weird, and it was weird, and it was some of the most macabre movies I've ever watched in terms of they did bum me out. I was like, I know Anakin dies. I know it's coming. I know fucking, Ewan McGregor dies, and I'm in love with Ewan McGregor's character now. He really nailed, Ewan McGregor fucking nailed Obi-Wan Kenobi. I really feel that he did. And like, he was the one saving grace of all that stuff. And like, and of course Padme was always the saving grace too. And I did like Jar Jar. I thought Jar Jar was hilarious. Racist, but hilarious. And like, I'm not sure the movies needed to happen. I'm not sure I care about the Clone Wars. I don't think we needed a prequel. I think we needed to know what happened to Luke Skywalker. I think we needed a successor fourth film that just took us on in the story. And I don't care if that point, if it was like the 80s and, Luke Skywalker's got a cocaine habit or whatever, and so does Carrie Fisher. But it's like, but I would have been okay if they would have brought them back as dinosaurs and just had them commanding consoles in the back while the kids be Jedi, while the younger actors are like Jedis and stuff. And Ewan McGregor could have been the star of a really good fourth actual canon film in the fucking original series. It just made finally the fourth movie,
There wasn't anything to...
But instead he made a prequel with dead characters that I couldn't find myself like getting invested in, because I was like, well, who cares if he's fighting in this factory with Count Dooku, because I know he dies when Anakin chops him in half in like 50 years. And I just say it out loud, but in my mind, I was just yelling this in my brain. I was like, well, who cares? He dies. I don't care if he dies here. No, I'm not invested in this battle scene. I know he doesn't die here. And it was a bad writing practice. It was almost an Emil, like it was almost a Bethesda writer level of hackneyed. And I was like, man, I think you might have kind of ruined the writing of Star Wars. And we did. We were gripey about it at the comic book stores for like 10 years. We were like, Disney owns Star Wars now. Is that the death of the Star Wars? Show enough.
Do in the game, but mine for resources and fight people for those resources.
Yeah, like survival was a meta. It's done now. It's like done now. Once him improves that, it's like done now. They can't bring new games to it. So why are they trying? They know that Rust and DayZ took the crown. They just took it. They're like the king and queen, because DayZ's the queen. They're like the king and queen of survival. We don't need any other games than Rust and DayZ, really, or maybe even like 7 Days as a prince, like a retarded stepchild prince. But like, Rust is the king of survival. DayZ is the successor. 7 Days was the precursor. We don't need anything else. Like, honestly, like watching Icarus fail, Enshrouded failed, Nightingale, Dark Side, Duck Side. There were so many. How much more is there? There's so many. Ark Survival Ascended. Like, there's like so many of these, and I own almost all of them if they're not incredibly bad. And like, I know that survival is a meta that's fucking over. You want to know how I know? Rust has 100,000 concurrent. Used to be 700,000. Those 600,000 players, they aren't playing survival anymore. We don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're playing Clash of Clans, or like, I don't know, fucking Ark Raiders and Fortnite, or like maybe Siege or something. I don't know what these people are doing. Valorant and Apex. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not playing survival games. The developers they move so slow, and that's not their fault. Coding takes time. But they move so slow that by the time that they reach the meta, it's the day that that meta dies. I would say pretty much July 15th, 2025 is almost to the day when Survival died. It was like the end of the summer. Survival died. Rust didn't have 700,000 players anymore. Nobody's playing Minecraft anymore. Like nobody's playing Terraria anymore. Survival is dead. It's like dead, and it's a meta that did die, and it's unfortunate. And Once Human didn't make it, and nobody can make a new title in it, and fucking Dune was at least an honest attempt, but it was not a good survival game. Why did they try?
And of course build. But once you're done with that,
By the time they started Dune, I think Rust had dropped from like 700,000 to 410 or something like that. And I'm sorry, but okay, if I have like a crew of, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 developers or something like this, right? And I'm running their lives, and not lives, but I'm running the business, which is their lives. And I like the main showrunner guy, whatever his name is, the main producer, right? And I'm, Hideo Kojima or something. I'm looking at the Steam Game Player statistics when I decide to begin the process of making my game with all the people at the meeting and stuff. The big meeting you have before you fire off on the Monday. The next Monday we start, right? On Friday you have the big meeting. Enjoy your weekend, guys. We're starting the game on Monday morning, right? And we're going for 5 years or something, right? And that day, I'm consulting Steam Game and Player statistics. These developers don't do this. And I'm like, wow, I'm really inspired by Rust and DayZ and H1N1 and what else is there? I don't know. Conan Exiles or whatever, right? I'm inspired by survival games, and I'm building a survival game, and I make Conan Exiles, and I didn't make a good game. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make the same game again that didn't make it the first time, Conan Exiles, with a few more embellishments and flight and modern stuff 10 years later. And I'm going to take 5 years to do it, and which is fine. I'm not being critical about that, but I'm going to take 5 years to do it. And the day that I start, I'm not going to look at the Steam Game and Player statistics and assess my competition and see that Rust has dropped to like 410,000 players. DayZ has dropped from 190,000 to like 36,000. And I remember when this happened, I was like, oh my God, what happened to 350,000 Rust players? They disappeared overnight. What happened? I remember when I was there, I was like, what happened? It's like my game died. What happened? I freaked out. I was there. That was last year. I published it. That was last year. I was like, what happened? The game died or whatever. It was insane. I was like, this game died. It's down to 410, then 390, 220, to 200. It was like watching fucking like rats sinking from a ship. And and so this Funcom dude and all his homies and shit, I don't know how they do this. It's almost criminal in its negligence, but they don't go and look at the Steam Game and Player statistics the day they decide to begin work. And I can show you what I'm talking about. It's very simple. You come to Steam Game and Player statistics, which are right here, and you see your competition, which is fucking simple. I don't think I would be a good game maker, but I am a good gamer, and I know who's winning. You look and you see that Rust is down to 146,000 on its best day today, or best hour today. And you're like, what the fuck happened? They sat between 1 million and 700,000, something like that for like 5 years. 5 years, something. 5 years it was like that. They were up at like fucking 560, 740 and shit on good days. Like for like 5 years, something like that. DayZ was sitting at like 175 or something like that. And Survival was fucking ripping. It was fucking ripping. It was doing great. People were playing fucking Minecraft on Xbox One and shit like this. Survival was doing really good. Minecraft was in this list, and there's all these other games that dropped down. But you could say we're kind of like survival games that still are here, that are just sort of lurking in the background, such as, and I'm looking for them, RDR2 is kind of a survival game, still has 44,000 players. They had a lot more back then. And that was kind of a survival game, you know. Bannerlord's sort of a survival game. There was like these other survival games that were kind of like sitting in the back. They're all below 30 now. Do you see them? So when this guy decided to go make Dune Awakening in like 2020, he could have come and seen there, whatever it was like 2020, 2021 probably when they started something, 2019, I don't know when it was, but he could have, he thought that this was just going to stay this way, but no, it was meteoric in its rise, and it was meteoric in its fall, and to not have the insight to monitor these numbers over the next year as you begin earnest production of Dune Awakening, and watching the numbers slowly plummet from 710 to 410 and sit there for a little while, then drop to 350, 310, 290. Survival players are leaving. The ads on the AI slop website say survival gamers are leaving Rust, it appears, and you know, and it's even in the news and stuff, and they're like, engines aren't as good as they should be, Unity engines are having problems, Rust creator Helk and Gary's mod guy are mad at Unity and stuff, and there's all these problems, and they're charging them for downloads and stuff, so Rust isn't doing so well, and not getting the production they need, which irked me. And so then, if I'm the Dune Awakening guy, I assess this list, and I realize as I it's okay for them to start the production of Dune Awakening in early 2020 because survival was still fire. But as the first year came to an eclipse and the next year started in 2021 in like January or so, started to see the signs of it, that it wasn't 790 anymore like due to Dota 2's polling right. It was like, I can't believe 1 million players are playing Dota 2. That's such a bad game. Anyways, my own personal bias. Fucking 30 years old too. The survival game started to like it peaked in like 2021 summer or something, maybe 2022 beginning winter. Survival peaked at like 710. Rust had its big heyday, and all the clans were fighting, and they had their big streamer-thon that had all the drama and stuff right around that era. And then Rust died, and DayZ died, and Minecraft died over the period of like 2022 and a half, around there, around July or something like that, into 2023. Everybody was like, the games are garbage, the games are toxic, nobody's playing them, everybody's gone. Mortal died. Mortal had 30,000 people, they died. New World had like 300,000 people, they died, they dropped to 30,000. That was sort of a survival game, not really. And like, and everybody died. And for the Dune Awakening guy to just putter along, thinking that survival's gonna pull him the $60 million that he dumped into it, which it didn't. It pulled him like 12. Hi, kitty. That's not what happens. So, but if I'm that guy, I'm clairvoyant about the industry, or I shouldn't be a showrunner in the first fucking place, right? So I'm divining by like November of 2020, because I was doing that on my stream. I published it too. You can go back and look at this. I wasn't up by that point, but I was doing it in my life. I was like playing Rust and understanding that it wasn't the same era as when I started. And I was like aware of it, but I didn't know how bad it was going to be yet. But by the end of 2021, I definitely did. I would say by probably fall of 21, I knew survival was dying and Rust wasn't going to be my main game for much longer. And I was working my way out of the clans, and I was pissing off my trio, I guess, by just being myself. And I was leaving groups, and I was leaving clans, and just like understanding that Rust is dying. And that was right. Yeah, I believe that was like fall of 21, something like that, or 2. I don't really remember. So I'm clairvoyant as the showrunner of Dune Awakening because I need to be. All these other people are my competition. By the end of 21, that's a solid 2 years of production that they put on Dune Awakening, right? But I'm cutting my losses there at like 18 to 30 million. And I'm like, this was a failed experiment because survival's dead, the meta's dead. And I look at the loss that Nightingale took in 23 or 2, whatever it was. I look at the Enshrouded loss. I look at the 76 slow decline, but it still sits at like 1 million or something. You know, I don't know what it is, but something happened, and I was aware as a gamer that survival was dying by early 21 something. And that was right around when I started streaming too. I was like, I'm going to Final Fantasy 11 and EVE Online, and if I play Rust, it'll be solo on the zombie hardcore server. And I was hunting for servers, and I didn't know about the zombie hardcore server yet, and I was looking for zombies. And that was an interesting era, and I started my stream, and I started with Final Fantasy 11, and like Rust died, and if I'm the Dune Awakening guy, I'm stopping. But Dune Awakening guy didn't stop because he hasn't stopped for 30 years. He just plodded forward, and they always do this, and they shouldn't. They should cut their losses because if survival dies, how are you possibly going to have more than 3,000 pop on Dune Awakening? If you do the math on 3,000 pop on Dune Awakening, if they all buy one $60 account, that's like $180,000, but yet you're a $2 billion company and you spent like $30 million making the game. It's just not so good. So, and it's not going to be like that at launch, but if you make the game bad, it is. If I'm that guy, I would have cut end of 2021, and of course hindsight's 2020. We don't know. You know, I know what happens now. So it's sort of like that sports almanac and Back to the Future. It's like I know the outcomes of the games, and I can kid myself into believing that I could go back and predict the winners. But I don't know if I could have predicted Dune Awakening in 2021. I think they were kind of hidden about it. But if I'm that guy, I would have cut the losses. I would have been like, nope, the loss that Icarus took is proof. The loss that Nightingale took was proof. If those games were even out yet, but I believe they were. The loss that 76 took is proof. The loss of 400,000 Rust players is proof. And I'm having a panic attack as the Dune Awakening main guy from Funcom. I don't know his name, and I don't care. I don't like developers. I'm cutting my losses right there. I'm telling the people that we took an 18 to $30 million loss. I'm saying we're taking this engine, we're doing something else with it. We're not doing it in the desert. They don't like the desert. It's clear that they don't like the desert. And like I'm cutting my losses there. This guy plotted forward another 3.5 years until the summer of fucking 2025, and he launches to a fucking like a Rust that's got 100,000 pop, and I guess he thought he was gonna steal all those people back, and yeah, he did get a all-time of 330 or something like that, I think. But no, they're all wary because they're like, no, survival's dead. There's not even a 700,000 on Rust. Who's playing survival anymore? We're all playing weird shooters and, you know, single player games and Arc Raiders and stuff. Who's playing survival anymore? And, you know, and this whole list, it was like musical chairs. This list went down, up, down, up. CSGO 2 launched and immediately just took the crown, and it wasn't even like a question. And then, like, you know, it was just crazy. I remember when CSGO 2 launched, my mod asked me to play it, and I was like, absolutely the fuck not. I'm not fucking stupid. I know what it is. It's fucking idiots with ops sitting down long tunnels and shooting you in the face as you peek. Why would I play Counter-Strike in 2025? I'm not a moron, you know? And so, and I, like, no, and I'm not a kid either. So yeah, if I've never played a shooter before, yeah, play Counter-Strike 2. It's a good game. But I've played Counter-Strike for thousands of hours. I don't need to play Counter-Strike again. It's a game that I've graduated from. You know, so Rust is dead. It's got 140,000. And I'm looking at this number, and this is the number. Okay, when Dune Awakening guy is telling them, we're going to have a good game, we're going to make it, right? I think I would tell myself that is a lie. Because I'd be like, no, I would wake up in a cold sweat, and I'd be like, I don't think we're going to make it because Rust isn't making it. And they've been out for 10 years, and they were up at 710 in the last year. And they're down to like 410 now. And you can see it was at least like a sieve, and the survival industry was like labeled as toxic, and the people decided to leave, I think. And Rust dropped. It just dropped from 540 to like fucking like 120. And that was his market. And when we saw the market die clearly on this number every single day, I'm looking at this number. If I'm a gamer or a fucking, every day I look at this fucking website almost, because if I'm a developer, I care about this. If I'm a gamer, I really, really care about this. To be so blind as that Dune Awakening developer, to understand, to not understand that survival was taking a shit and nosediving, means that you were never a good developer or showrunner in the first fucking place. You took other people's fortunes and money and investor money, and you led them down a blind pit where there's all these red arrows and all these signs, and it's like, don't go here. This is Rust. There's the body of Rust. It's lying on the ground there. It's not totally stopped breathing yet, but this is a sign pointing at the body of the game Rust that's lying on the floor there in the hallway in the pool of blood. And the signs are like, don't go make a survival game in 2023 or beyond. This guy did not listen to that. My content's better than this guy's content. It absolutely is, because I know what the fucking problem is. These guys see this point of no return where they're like, wait, the meta I was chasing is gone. And I can't be successful with what I thought was going to slay. And they just keep going, and then they make a bad game.
You sort of moved on.
That we don't want. Yeah, we sort of moved on. Like, literally, he says it like clockwork. We sort of moved on. Like, listen, he's like the guy, the actual video guy. He's like, honestly, like almost like scripting how fucking cheesy this is. We just moved on. We moved on from survival.
The problem is that the game requires a constant monthly upkeep or taxes to keep your...
Which I really hate. Like, God damn it. Like, death and taxes are these terrible things that you can't avoid in the real life. Why the fuck would you write them into a video game? I play video game for fun, you fucking idiot. I don't play video games to pay taxes, you fucking moron. And I mean this too. I hope it gets back to him someday. What I mean to this idiot Funcom developer that I don't care to learn the name of. Because it's like, Jesus Christ, you fucking moron. I don't want to play taxes in a fucking video game. Shall we go to the IRS and get audited as well? Shall we go to the DMV like Fallout 76? Shall we go and stub our toe on the baseboard? Shall we, these things in the real life that we don't like to do? Why the fuck would you fucking put them in your game willingly? We play games to have fun. You're stupid. You think that Rust did it, so you should do it. Rust did it because if they don't do it, large clans sit around forever and just shit down the necks of nakeds for the rest of eternity. So they had to do the reset, because otherwise large clans just full blown become like these fiefdoms that rain terror on the lands around them and stuff. And so yeah, the reset's necessary on a competitive free-for-all PvP game like that. Dune Awakening isn't a competitive free-for-all PvP game, remember. It's a PvE game that has bad combat. So...
your stuff, around. If you miss any payments, you could lose your whole base. When you don't build a...
So why would you put taxes in it? That's not going to be something they receive well, These dudes Most of them are like 30 to 45. They've got wives, husbands, families, kids, elderly parents, problems, cell phone bills, taxes, fucking problems. Why the fuck would your idiot ass, developer ass, put fucking taxes in a video game? Are you that fucking stupid? And I'm not so fucking much of a fucking pussy as to say I wouldn't say this to your face. If I was in the same room as this Funcom idiot who decided to put taxes in his game because Facepunch did that, I would just be like, you fucking moron. Do you really think I want to pay taxes? Do you really think that it's a good gameplay loop? Do you really think that decay is this thing that you need to do in a builder? Who cares if the dude sits in his base for 5 months? I don't care about that. Move away from him. You know, you have a gyrocopter. Move away from him. It's easy.
World to be social, and
I mean, there's all these Rust. I look at this like a Rust player because it was the most competent survival game ever made. And I'm just like, no, these issues, they're not really issues. You made them issues. These aren't really issues, but until you made them issues.
one that can be like returned to without having like a big negative for that.
Yeah, like you don't need to add taxes to your fucking game. It wasn't an issue that I needed. Like, so then, and yeah, I'm a boomer with like a life and a family and a job, a full-time 105-hour-a-week job, and caretaker stuff, and I just don't care to pay taxes in a game that sucks at building. Shall I don't know, what else is something really not fun? Shall I mow the lawn? Shall I, you know, it's just like, what other inane, stupid things that I don't like to do in the real life that should you put in the game that I try to play for fun? Let's see. Shall I make a should you make a mini game in your Dune Awakening about pulling nose hairs? I get nose hairs and I have to pull them out and it's painful. I did it yesterday, right? Why not put it in your game like taxes? You fucking moron.
In the end, achieving power is the only thing you can do, and you have to do it while sprinting on a treadmill. And once you do that, you sort of beat the game. Sure, Dune Awakening was...
I like the damage that you see when you shoot them, but the gameplay looks like a toy. It looks like toy gameplay. It doesn't really look like a big boy video game combat.
More content at some point.
Those bullets don't look good. The impacts don't look good. They aren't registering that they're even being shot.
But they were bleeding so many players.
It really looks like you passed the cost of business on to the consumer on little minor levels. Like when you shoot them, they don't even react.
There's an alarming rate.
Yeah, they don't even react until they keel over. That's fucking
and making
dumb.
Radical changes that were...
It's a game from 2025. You should probably show some impact, you know?
Angering their core audience that was left. How many would even wait around?
Maybe make the guy stumble if you shoot him in the leg. Like 76 or whatever, do something.
For new content to drop if the game wasn't
Some of the design seems lazy.
Enjoyable and continued to lose players.
Why would you throw
Dune
a
Awakening,
grenade at him
Shifty
if you're about to shoot him in the head? I don't really
Sand or not would be the company's fastest selling release yet, selling a whopping 1 million copies at a full price.
I can't believe we bought 1 million copies of this at $60 million a pop. And he just made all the money that he invested immediately.
Price of $50, but whether or not they could keep this player base.
Yeah, what did they invest in this game, they said? Was it like 63 million, right? They said it was like 63 million, they said. All in all is what they reported for taxes and stuff. So, yeah, he like broke even the day he launched. And any more copies that he sells is profit. But, I mean, remember, breaking even in a fucking video game studio with like 100 developers... Okay, you just came to pay their paychecks? You didn't want to make any profit? Or, you know?
With how the game was designed to keep running on would remain to be seen, and things weren't looking good in that direction unless major changes would happen. Patch 1.110 would drop just weeks after launch and would introduce some nice changes to the death and respawn system, as well as reportedly fixing
I actually did not like the rock thing, the rock laser thing. I was like, it is a cool effect and I like how it looks. It was really impressive visually, but the concept wasn't good.
many of the game's exploits. Oh yeah, we talked about bugs, but we didn't really talk about exploits. They're more of like something that players
I did like it more than rust chopping. Rust chopping has gotten old to me, and I thought it was a little bit more, you know, evolved than rust chopping.
figure out how to do over and over again for a massive.
Okay, guys, it's 4:20. I am tired and I'm losing my voice because I'm sick, maybe, or something. I don't know what it is. Or I've just been talking too much because of P. Diddy. Like, I've been yelling about P. Diddy and screaming. So I'm going to go to bed before my voice gets any worse, as you can hear. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to bail on you like this, but it is 4:20 in the morning. I'm going to bed. I'm going to stop this video with a reminder that you've been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on the background. Click on the cast face to donate. It's a PayPal link. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or follow. I'm also on Kick, as you can see. I stream to Kick all the fucking time, and I have a crazy following on Kick that's getting bigger every day. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for those subs and follows and all that stuff. Thank you for any subs and follows that I got. Thank you, Dickhead and Jason and Mediomu. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will be stopping this video now with a reminder as I go to upload that you are watching Skycat Live.
And me, Valcom.
I'm sorry. I am uploading this session that I recorded today, right now. I'm stopping the video as we speak.